Hello, hello. Name's Annan. Welcome back to the channel. And good morning to you. I just got up, so I'm going to be talking in this rather delightful, quieter voice. Hope you don't mind. I just want to have a nice, chill, cozy time here until I fully wake up. Today I'm bringing to you a build that I used to call one of my favorites a long time ago. I haven't touched this ever since. It's been a very long time, and I did play this for an extended period of time. So I'm very experienced with this build, I would say. I'm just out of practice. It is a jank build, today's build. It is very low damage. You need a lot of effort, a lot of work to even win a run, let alone beat bosses. You need a lot of luck with your item find and your Arcana drops. There's really a lot to unpack here today, so stick with me as we are getting into it. Today's build is called Interventional Combos, a janky combo build. Yes, that does exist. The build idea here, or the theme, is it is a build solely based on making the Chaos Arcana Arcane Intervention work in a Chaos Trial setting. Now there's a lot to unpack here, right away. I don't really know, quite frankly, how to do it. So, in my opinion, this Arcana, the key piece that I'm going to be presenting to you pretty soon, or showing off to you, rather, if you don't know that yet, is very underwhelming, damage-wise. Even utility-wise, I feel like it's purely a utility-focused Arcana. It is quite terrible at what it does. There are many Arcana that do a way better job at providing utility than this one. And that's precisely the reason why our damage is atrocious. Because our Arcana are quite atrocious, and we have to get a lot of good stuff to make these even work. We might not win this run. In fact, it's very unlikely. Even if you're a very good player, unless you enjoy hitting like a wet noodle consistently, and don't mind playing a 2-hour run at that, or rushing your run, this is going to be a long one, and you're not going to win every run consistently. Not every run is going to be fun. I don't play this build anymore for a plethora of reasons. The most prevalent is because I used to assemble builds with a different narrative in mind, so to speak, a different idea in mind. It's that, well, you don't only have these 4 Arcana and a starting Relic and a Robe, but also I could rely on the player finding certain other Arcana, like an Explosive Fireball or a Bolt Claymore, and that's what I did. I did not design builds with the intention of, these 4 Arcana are enough to get you to win a run. My mentality was, yeah, you need X and Y, otherwise you're kind of fucked. And so this build, it definitely falls off pretty hard if you don't find the necessary key pieces, something like a Bolt Claymore, to deal all the damage for you. Also, I used to approach the game very differently, with a very passive, strategical playstyle. I tried to put a lot of thought into how to destroy enemies the most optimal way possible, using the jankiest combinations. Unlike today, where I like playing super aggressively and recklessly, which I believe is the much more favorable, much more fast-paced and fun, therefore, playstyle to experienced roguelike players. I'd say that about concludes the reasons as to why I'm not playing this anymore and why I haven't presented it to you yet, since it is quite frankly not a build I would play today anymore, and therefore definitely not on my favorite list, not even close any longer. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? For our robe, we will not be using the Shadow Robe. It looks nice, but behind our Shadow Robe is the Venture Robe, decreasing our max health down from 500 HP to 300, and then increasing both our damage, run speed, and cooldown reduction by 10% each, which is great. It gives us a little bit of everything. We need a little bit of everything. We need a lot of everything to win the run. Damage is great, and then cooldown reduction is also fantastic. We have rather long cooldowns. This is absolutely key. We need the cooldown reduction, so if you don't like Venture Up, I strongly advise going for another cooldown reduction based robe, such as the Temper Robe, for example, as I will get to that in a second here. The run speed is also nice. It is not essential to the build, it's just nice to have. For our starting Relic, we'll be using what has, over the past few years, become my absolute favorite item in this game. And why so? Because of this build. This is the first build I ever used this item in, and it took me a while to figure out how good this item actually is. Originally, I only used damage or other cooldown based relics, and then when I found this one day and I figured that, yeah, maybe I should try this out in an actual run. I can't really tell how good or how bad it is right from the lobby. I fell in love with it, and ever since that I have been experimenting with this a lot until I finally came to find today's favorite build. And my god, I love it so much. It is the miscellaneous Spice Rack. Using an Arcana of a different element reduces the cooldown of the previously used Arcana. An absolute treasure for combo builds. Along with the Elemental Point A, which does the same if you have multiple Arcana of the same element. So you use one element, like Earth, and it reduces all other cooldowns for all other Earth Arcana that you have currently equipped. I feel like it's the inverse for that. It's the more useful version, in my opinion. I don't typically play all one Arcana builds unless it is a themed build. So in private, I wouldn't technically do that. I would try to play combo builds and combining different elements with each other to try to find fun effects, like combining utility with damage, movement speed with iframes, and so on and so forth. So I feel like Spice Rack is just the way to go. It is so fun. It allows a lot of versatility. It is a rather bland, rather in the background type of item. You won't notice it much, but trust me, if you actually pay attention to this long term, you will see how much work this puts in for you. Combined with the 10% cooldown reduction from our Venture Robe, this is great. This is very, very good and absolutely essential to this build. You could go for increased damage, for example, or for example the Tozie's Pocket Watch, not Broken Watch, which also increases your cooldown reduction by a whopping 20%, but reduces your signature charge rate. Now, that's not that big of an issue. We don't care much for the signature charge rate, so this would be a viable pick as well. It's more consistent. In my opinion, you don't need to use these Arcana in, well, one after another, using different elements, but that's really not going to be that big of a deal, because we will get to that in a second. Originally, I used 3 different elements in this build. I used Fire, Chaos, and Wind. Today, we are going to be using Fire, Chaos, and Wind. However, I'm going to be using a different basic Arcana than I originally did. Originally, I did use Flame Cross. Today, we're going to be using a Chaos Arcana for that. Also, not only to increase our damage output and versatility and crowd control, but also so we have to upgrade one less Arcana, allowing us to spend much more gold to fix our other issues, namely damage issues. Now, Spice Rack alone already takes care of the problem that is cooldown reduction of this build, and I very much love it for that. Let's get into Arcana though, the Spicy Shade. For our basic, we'll be using Chaos Crusher, which is a very strong Chaos Arcana that absolutely leaves pretty much every single other basic Arcana in this game in the dirt in regards to what it can be and what it is base version. It is not only a basic Arcana, it's also melee and a projectile. So it can go insane with a ham sandwich. You can slap pretty much anything on here, whether it be increased melee critical strike chance, increased melee damage, increased projectile critical strike chance, increased projectile damage, increased basic Arcana effects like enhancements like candies, for example, speed at which you cast it, and so on and so forth. There are just so many things you can do with this. It is absolutely insane. It doesn't have to be upgraded since it is a Chaos Arcana coming upgraded right at the get-go, or in other words, it can't be upgraded at all. It's always the fully enhanced version. It can't be downgraded at all. It's just simply a Chaos Arcana. It saves a lot of money, therefore, a lot of effort. It's very easy to use, very versatile in how you use it, and the crowd control on this, I cannot stress this enough, the crowd control on this is ridiculously good. And that's what we are going to be using it for all of those aforementioned reasons. It is simply the best pick for this build. Now, you might ask, how does this work? How is it melee and projectile at once? Well, essentially, every attack has two parts to it. First of all, you attack twice per attack cycle, so once you fully cast this, you will attack twice, but those two attacks are split into two each. Every single attack has a melee part and a ranged part. The melee part is going to be a portal cast from your hands or something in front of your character, a piercing portal dealing a whopping 11 damage on a non-critical hit, and then that portal throws forward, or launches rather, a ball of chaos, a very thin line, long-range skill shot, also piercing an infinite number of enemies, dealing around about half damage at 6 damage on a non-critical hit. You can hit an enemy with both of those at the same time. And then keep in mind, you always hit twice per attack cycle, like so. You can also move while using it, though the move isn't anything wild. Look at this. There's potential. That's just hitting both. I could also be way over here, just casting the ball, in order to bait enemies out, or crowd control them, or just deal that tiny bit of poke damage to them. It is super versatile. Very, very good. In every achievable way, really, and that's why we're gonna be using it. Now I'm gonna stop simping for basic Arcana and move on to our dash, because I have to in order to stay on schedule here. Our dash is Magma Rush, one of my absolute favorite dashes in this game. Sorry, my controller is doing weird stuff right now. Cable is just... ugh. So, Magma Rush. You could also use Thunderline instead, which has a rather similar effect, but we're gonna be using Magma Rush for our build here, which leaves behind this mine, which has a set duration to it, and once it expires, it explodes in an AoE drawn around it. The AoE also double functions as a range indicator for a homing effect, so whenever an enemy comes inside of this circle, the projector will start to home that enemy down, always targeting the first enemy seen, so to speak. It will then explode right up their face once it touches them, once it gets to them, or once it expires, yet again. It doesn't stop the exploration process just because it has found an enemy. Now the upgrade of this is very nice. It's also the only upgrade to this entire build, since we're going to be using 2 Chaos Arcana and a Signature, which all cannot be upgraded, or rather are upgraded right from the very get-go and can't be downgraded either. So this is our only upgrade, allowing us to spend money on a lot more useful stuff like items, for example, or other Arcana to support us here dealing damage. The enhancement lasts much longer and has a much increased blast radius, which is super helpful. We are using this for crowd control and damage. It deals a pretty hefty chunk of damage at 16, and then it burns all enemies hit. The AoE is fantastic as well, and increasing this is only going to make it that much stronger. Now for the key piece of the build, Arcane Intervention, the aforementioned atrocious Arcana. It's very interesting to look at, it looks very versatile and very cool, and that's precisely why I made a build around it. So it is very difficult to explain though. Let's explain this in 2 parts. So first of all, when you cast this, you throw a pretty much uncontrollable pole in front of you, kind of similar to a ward. However, you physically throw that thing, unlike a ward, which just appears out of thin air. You can't exactly control, same as with a ward, where this is going to land. It's at a fixed distance to your character, and this is quite important to this specific Arcana, as you will see in a second, because unlike a ward, which has a massive radius around it, which you can basically not miss once you get a good feeling for where the ward is usually going to be cast, in regards to where does your character stand, where do you have to stand in order to hit your ward the optimal way possible. This pole is very thin. It's very hard to hit this consistently. It's rather slow moving, it doesn't appear instantaneously, unlike a ward as well. So you throw forth this pole, and then this has a set duration to it, or rather the ability as a whole has a set duration to it, and if that duration expires, or if you abort the ability using it again, then the pole will essentially explode into a Chaos Storm, dealing 6 damage per tick. I believe it is 6 damage per tick, as with all Chaos Storms, in a rather large AoE around the pole. Now the second part to this ability, this is where it gets really interesting, is that once you throw the pole, a circle, similar to this one, kind of a hex a voodoo-ish looking circle will appear around your character, and then whenever you reactivate the ability, or when it expires, this circle will detonate. It doesn't deal any damage, but it will then go ahead and teleport all enemies inside of your close vicinity, i.e. the circle, to the pole's location, then catching them up in the Chaos Storm. It will look something like so. So you see above my head there, this is essentially the countdown for expiration. I can also reactivate this at any given time. I can, like, say, dash out of the ability. It's not a channeled ability, it's just a reactivatable ability, which is quite unique in this game. I believe this is the only ability in the game that is reactivatable. Not sure about that, I'd have to double check. It's very interesting, you can also use it for range damage, technically. This Arcana does not have any types. It's not a projectile, it's not melee, so it's not easily enhanceable by any means. This is what you get. What you see is what you get, absolutely, with this one. Now you can throw the pole, since it's chaos, into a pit, or onto a pit, and it will remain there. It won't fall down the pit, it will stay there. And once you teleport enemies into that pit, they'll immediately fall down dying. Also, what you can do is you can, as with pretty much all Chaos Storms, you can destroy projectiles with this storm, which definitely can come in handy, though it is very hard to use in boss fights. You have to precisely wait out a moment where the boss is standing still for the longest period of time possible, since this takes quite a while to go off, and then even the throw takes quite a while, so it is very difficult to use. It is very difficult to hit in the first place. The distance, you have to really get a good feeling for by playing with this a lot. And then even when you perfectly use it, it only deals 60 damage at minimum, which is really not that much. It's good when compared to something like an explosive fireball, which deals 50 damage a hit, but for that 50 damage I don't have to work nearly as hard, and it's in a large AoE. Bosses cannot be teleported, and they can't really be affected by the Chaos Storm much, if at all. So, specifically into bosses and mini-bosses, this ability is absolutely terrible and atrocious and super difficult and unnecessarily bad to use. This is supposed to be a Chaos Arcana, one of the strongest Arcana in the game. It's not. It's terrible. It is very bad. But it allows us to easily climb up a large group of enemies. However, we have to get close to them. There are just two disadvantages to every advantage this Arcana prepares for you. I do like the climbing up ability. We will combine that with our signature, which is going to be, for reasons I will mention right after, Tearing Whirlwind. An Arcana that I've used many times for different builds, mostly combo of movement-based build. Sorry, I butchered that sentence. Mostly combo or movement-based builds. Now this casts a Tearing Whirlwind, as the name suggests, around your character, which will pull in enemies, give you a bunch of movement speed for the duration used, and allows you to move those enemies over pits, for example, and then they will fall into pits when this ability expires. That is a very, very brief introduction to it. There's a lot of nuance to it. It does okay damage for a probably intended to be solely utility-focused ability. It is very fun for dodging purposes. It can destroy projectiles, but it is pretty fun to use consistently as a combo piece to group up enemies, to position them where you want them to be, to just grab them like so, and whirl them around for a while. It deals okay-ish damage, and then the signature has a lot of phantom range to it, as you can tell. It will drag in enemies essentially from the entirety of your screen, and then use this powered-up version of the ability. You are completely free to move wherever you want, and you can cancel this ability. Not at any given time, however. You need to use it for a certain period of time before you can cancel into a dash, for example, like so. And that's the first combo to this build. It's just a very simple Whirlwind into dash to deal okay damage. Also, we can combine it with Arcane Intervention, like so, and then reactivate the intervention right after the Whirlwind, or we let it rest for a while, and then we Whirlwind, so it expires while we are Whirlwinding. Also, then we can combine that again with our dash, like so. to burn all enemies at the stake, like witches. Like the witches they are, these target dummies. Just look at them, magically reappearing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It is very simple. There's a few nuanced combos in there, but nothing really wild or difficult or not simple to understand and unpack in here. Now for the reason why we are using Tearing Whirlwind as a signature over Arcane Intervention, which could be a signature. It's very simple actually. Once you look at it from this perspective, not only would we have to upgrade to Arcana here, and Tearing Whirlwind is just a whole lot worse in the base version and doesn't last as long. But also, Arcane... I always forget the name. Arcane Intervention does not get any stronger just because you use it as your signature. Also, if you use the powered up effect, it's still pretty bad, as you can tell, into bosses. It deals okay-ish damage into regular enemies, clogging in at 200 roundabout. Now, just using multiple poles and teleporting them around. And then it allows for a little bit more control around your character, but again, it's at a range where this is pretty much non-applicable to room sizes, to the average room especially. And then again, I can't stress this enough, into bosses. This is a big detriment, a massive detriment, because as you can tell, this is the main pole, and it does deal less damage than just using the regular pole. That's the main reason we're going to be using Tearing Whirlwind instead for our signature, because Arcane Intervention is absolutely atrocious as a base level Arcana, but even worse as your main or signature spell. I think that about says it all. Let's get into the details, right? I'm quite afraid here. The intended build playstyle. We want to combo, so we change between passive and aggressive. We want to be rather aggressive when we got our combo pieces up, and then we want to be rather passive when we don't. In order to get them back, we just want to use our basic and stall our enemies for as long as possible until we get our combo pieces back up. Now for rooms with waves and rooms with pits, we do not need to use all of our combos here. Instead, we can just do this, throw it onto a pit, hit a bunch of enemies, whirlwind them into the pit, and we're good to go. I think that about sums it up, honestly. It's not that difficult to explain the strategy here, it's just very hard to pull it off. For potential problems, it's all about damage. That's the important part here. We don't care much for any particular bosses. There are no major dangers here. I'd say the greatest danger would be Other Knights with the shield that can deflect this projectile. But even in that case, reflecting it right back at the player or deflecting it into seemingly random direction, which never happens. I don't know why I said that. It always reflects the projectile at the player. Even then, it's not that huge a threat, because it only deals 6 damage. What, 12 or 9 on a crit? I'm not sure. I believe 9. Not sure how crits work in the game, to be honest. I can't be bothered much. So, yeah, we don't really care for avoiding anyone in particular. I will avoid Shu, as per usual, because Shu sucks to fight. But there's not really any bosses you should avoid, or any dungeons you should avoid. You're definitely good to go on all of them. You are running a fairly ranged build, so you shouldn't be afraid of something like the Frost Dungeon, which heavily punishes melee builds. You don't care much about being poisoned or shocked or burned here, because they don't typically cancel your abilities like Arcane Intervention or your dash. They are very fast to use abilities that you use once and then that's it, essentially, right? You don't have to cast a long duration ability, for example. And now, for the final section of recommended items and Arcana. Any and all damage goes. Now, since you are starting on 300 HP, getting something like Double Trouble is very, very risky. And from my experience, it's not even worth it. You get double your damage, essentially, but you take double the damage. And you only have 300 HP, you have a build where even if you deal double damage, you don't deal much at all. Fights will still take forever. So please do not take it. Please do not pick it. Do yourself a favor. Don't risk losing the run or something as stupid as, should I be dealt double damage in order to deal double damage or not? doubling 1 damage is still not that powerful. It's still only 2 damage. Doubling 0 damage is even less powerful, okay? You're just taking too much damage at that point. Instead, go for safe damage increases like stones, candies, like pixies, fairies, pixels, sprites, whatever you want to call them. I keep coming up with new names for them. There are just so many applicable names here. Like more damage-heavy Arcana, like Bolt Clairman, Explosive Fireball, and jumps that are versatile and allow you to dodge more, and Permafrost Bulwark that allows you to dodge more and deal a hefty chunk of damage, and like Auto Attack, or sorry, basic Arcana enhances like Fueled Berserk, for example, or Calming Flow. You just want to have stuff that makes what's already in your build stronger without applying a risk to your character. You can't afford taking any more risks. You're already playing a very underwhelming build with a very underwhelming health bar. So don't take Glass Cannon and lower your health to, what, like 210? Don't take the Heart Render's Amulet, or whatever the hell it's called. That also lowers your max HP. Don't take those items. Just don't. Just get the safe damage increases from unenhancing your Arcana, for example, from having all enhanced Arcana with the luxurious handbag or luxury handbag, whichever the name might be, or cut out your signature charge, but also increase your damage. Get a strongman arm hammer, whatever the hell it's called. Get those safe damage increases, and do not rely on anything risky. You can't afford it. Period. Point blank. Let's get into the video, shall we? I am very nervous here. I do want to avoid you, as I said. Let's hope it's not stuck. Okay, cool. Oof. Let's go. For good old times. For nostalgia's sake. For the sake of self-improvement, right? Whoops. Using the ball there to keep them stun locked and reset the attack timer, so they won't accidentally hit me while I'm trying to melee them or walk towards them. Now these black slimes are gonna be a lot of trouble later on when they split into multiple sections. They mean a lot of trouble, and I mean a lot of trouble, and being stun-locked and just having to take it for the team. That was a lot of rough maneuvering right there to avoid being hit by a thief. And then stun locked and dying. I really am hoping we will find a whimsical explodium, or the frost equivalent, which I can't remember the name of currently. Because that would definitely ease the... Why do I keep saying that? It's such a weird word, man. It would definitely make the... It would lift the burden of having to find a way to kill those pesky, slimy, self-splitting, replicating enemies, right? They are really a massive deal to deal with. And I would love to have some AoE, like the Whimsical Explodium. So I only have to whirlwind through them, essentially, and then they get caught in the crossfire, and they start chain reactions on each other. Ooh, Claws of Turmoil. That's, unfortunately for us, that's just slightly more crit chance, 5% more crit chance on our basic Arcana. Otherwise, would enhance our basic Arcana, but since it's already enhanced from the very get-go, it's not gonna be too handy. The Glass Cannon is a teasing pickup. However, it's not one that I would like committing to since I'm very unexperienced playing this build. It's been a while. Keep that in mind. It is a blast to play on early floors. I'd TP them to the other side, so they would try and dash over. And when they try and dash across, I just simply hit them mid-air, they will fall back down. Like wet sacks of sand. I do like the sprite. It's gonna come in handy. I do like electrifying smoke, though I do not want that. I do not want to build for signature. Now, stopwatch in boss rush would be great, but we can't really make that work in Chaos Trials. And other than that, all of these kind of suck. Cruel Chest Clock would... Well, we would deal much less damage. It would actually be kind of useful later during a run. Now, it's a very risky pickup. We might actually grab the Glass Cannon early on in hopes of finding more HP over the course of the run. Let's take Magma Rush for now. Yeah, let's go for the Glass Cannon. I know I said don't pick these up, but it's very early during the run, and I'm really hoping to find more HP ups. You might ask, why do I keep so blindly throwing the Arcane Intervention way past the boss? It's just so I could potentially catch the Chaos Orbs flying, or the Chaos Summons rather, flying towards me, so I can just be more aggressive. Mirror Shield is pretty good. I do like the Memory Chamber a lot. I will be getting that early on, as we only have very slim amount of HP, and I do not need to take any unnecessary risks here. Memory Chamber is very helpful when trying to avoid a boss like Shu that hits many times, or the Thunder Twins, which we're also going to be having to fight here. Right, I am hoping we'll find more sprites and damage ups, and then I would really love some more Arcana. I tried to dodge it there at the same time while luring in the black guy, but I did fail at that. It's fine though. We will find plenty of healing orbs after all, this early on. Don't really have to worry for health all that much. We don't find an upgrade here. We do find the... Ooh, what's it called? The fiery dash that I really love. Was a little late on that, so the Lancer punished me there. I do find that just. It makes sense. It was my mistake. Kinda losing track of the map here and just enjoying the run, you know, enjoying where it's taking me. Good damage there, thanks to the crit. Gonna Whirlwind inside, just so they don't get a chance to cast anything, since they immediately cast when seeing you. Running in just wouldn't do the job, I'd have to manually dodge. Wallet of Vigor, that is a very interesting pickup, let alone... I mean, we could potentially make that work. Maybe if we find the dependable cake, we might be able to make that work. Currently, that's just a very risky pickup. We cannot spend any health when we only have 210 health on items. This is also always a very tough challenge. Beating Taffy. Oh, still poisoned. And we got the poison spread, of course, which wears off after a long period of time. Makes us wait a lot longer on the taffy. Cool, we found the TP room right away, that's great. Love the Shadow Robe here. The style just... mwah. It's great. I already love how the Venture Robe looks. With the eye color and the rope color together, it's great. And the Shadow Robe is just that exaggerated. I was just feeling Shadow Robe today, since we are using 2K Arcana here. I feel like I should be allowed to do that, right? Just get these portraits, they might contain some healing. And then we can actually try. And we did, that was a lot of crits. Interestingly enough, Glacial Getaway, that's sweet. We can't really use that in the build, but it's certainly a nice pickup. I do like Roxel's Pendulum. I don't think it's gonna be super helpful, as cooldown reduction does not currently fix our problems. We need more damage, so I don't think I'm gonna be picking that up. The Ward of Vigor might come in handy if we find a reliable source of healing, which we did not on this floor. So I don't think I will pick that up either. Nothing in here, as far as I recall. What's it called? Blazing Onslaught. Oh, that's not the one that I love so much. It's the Fireball one. One where you dash and then you shoot fireballs in front of you. Tried to bait out his attack there. Same here, honestly. Shouldn't be doing this stupid shit when I'm on that low of a HP count. Same here. Just play it safe. Don't do any risky plays. I'm so used to that at this point, I just can't help myself. That's very sweet. That allows us to dodge a lot better, and then we can take the Smock as well, because they stack. I do like that. Yes, there's pretty much no other reason besides they stack. We did beat Taffy somehow. I still can't get over that. That's quite impressive, honestly. Let's get some good critical heals, please. Nope. Okay. Well, we tried. We might just die here. There's no guarantee that we beat this. Keep in mind, ultimate fucks you up very quickly. Oh shit. That was insanely helpful. Thank you very much, Breezy Gray. I just jam dashed there in hopes of exactly that happening, and we got really lucky. We wouldn't have died either way, but hey, I mean, we could avoid the damage in a very stylish way. Just getting hit once and then essentially Kasim's Eric cloaking our way out of it. Super cool. Very rare interaction, love to see it. Totally missed that. Totally missed that. I didn't manually reactivate it there because there's a short delay in it, which would have allowed the Lancer to hit me there. So I just let it time out instead and teleport the Lancer into the Abyss. It's a little bit of a patience play that you gotta learn when playing this build. Same there, you want to stay barely out of the range of a Thief, but still in teleport range. Same here with the Knight, honestly. It's the exact same play. Just cast the Storm and then Glacial Getaway them back inside. There is so much to unpack here, honestly. So many tough plays to make that you would only understand had you ever played this build before. You also usually want to cancel your Tearing Whirlwind into dash as to deal maximum damage and avoid any damage taken from after Tearing Whirlwind, as Tearing Whirlwind leaves you quite vulnerable for like a second or so right after casting the ability. Same for the ultimate, honestly. Just dash away from your targets right afterwards so you can't be hit. And then your dash does the rest for you. These items kinda suck. I do like the saber, we could go for that. Let's see what we can find here. More damage is always welcome. So far, damage-wise, we are doing an absolute fantastic job. Oh no. Very dangerous room right here. Very, very dangerous room right here. But we did manage our way out of that. I haven't seen that room for a long time, to be honest. Okay, and I'm just gonna surf off of the ledge there, not risk anything. Only having to fight one of them is good enough. Same here, just... let's not risk anything, just pull or push him into the abyss. Same here. Oh, wow, they were way faster than anticipated. I thought they would be stunned a little longer by the bomb there. I feel like I clipped the second slime there that looked like it were too far away, but apparently it clipped into the ability. Which is great. Teleports behind you, finishing you off. The Kamehameha slime. Oh, interesting. Mantis Imperium. I don't really see anything good in here. Like, Homing Flares is good damage-wise, don't get me wrong. And I'm definitely considering getting that. However, our final dungeon is going to be water, so this is not too effective of a buy. Come into my firebomb. Just stunlock them into oblivion. That's precisely the reason why I usually wait out the attacks of these big beefy black guys, because they can even hit behind them. It's so stupid. The hitbox is really annoying. You should really always wait out their attacks, but I was growing impatient there. Didn't want to wait that out. And I paid for it. Gonna use the glacial here because it detonates, since this is a CC reluctant enemy. Deals a lot more damage that way. Ooh, a lot of damage. The bone mail. It's really nice. I do also like these two, signature charge increase and critical strike chance increase when on low HP. We are practically always on low HP. Low HP, I believe, counts as sub 100 HP. Now, against bosses, that's not going to be a feasible strategy, so maybe I shouldn't rely on that too much. I will get the Golden Saber, which requires me to farm up a lot more money to buy anything in store, which is fine at this point. I got okay damage. I am happy. I need just a little more, maybe. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, I think that's it. Healing pods still cost 100, so that's great. Moving on. Now, we did not get the homing flares, but that's fine in my opinion. We don't necessarily need that Arcana. It's very melee focused anyway. I would prefer staying at range. Gonna use Glacial Getaway there to get out of the pickle. Or running into a dead end, being cornered by those slimes. Love the evasion on the Breezy Grey, super helpful. I did try to cast it like so, in a way that would detonate both the barrels, but I failed at that, so no, I kind of wanted to defuse the barrel, and that didn't work either. Well, yeah. Oh my god, I couldn't stop myself. I tried to counter steer, but I failed miserably. Let's not make any grave mistakes here. Now this is the loan, which gives me a lot of money, which I have to pay off, which I don't think I'll be able to. Just casting the storm there. Wasn't sure whether they would die there or not. How much HP the third one had, or the second one, I didn't really see how many there were. So better cast it the safe way. We get a Lotus Frost Stone, that is really good. Ifrit is also pretty good. I do like fire damage, I wouldn't spend 225 on it though, that's pretty bad. Covert Ops is pretty damn good as well. Why so? Because we got a Breezy Grey, and we have procced it successfully a lot lately. Let's get the Frost Stone, as we don't have to buy any Arcana upgrades here, so we already know what's coming up. Needed to dodge the lance there, going through the statue. Bait them into the ball, so they finish themselves off. Love to see that. And then the Lotus Frost Stone does the rest for me. When one of them dies, the rest of them takes damage as well. I love Lotus Frost Stone. It is so much cooler than Whimsical Explodium. But visually not as pleasing, I'd say. But to me personally, as a CC geek, I just love CCing enemies for days. Freezing them on death, freezing nearby enemies on death. Oh, it's so good, so cool. Love it. Love to see it. I don't think I want to have the loan. It would be beneficial. But long term, not so sure about that. So, not even gonna risk it for the biscuit. That was a very risky play there. Should have gone for the thieves instead. I was not expecting that room, to be honest. That could have went very poorly. Oh, they're all dead. Cool. I love the reset so far on my Firebomb. This ability is just a blast to use. And here's the aforementioned Double Trouble. I don't think I can use any of these. Tattered Scroll is not very good. I don't really care about Signature Charge, so none of these are, unfortunately, the pick here. If we were to be super cocky, like, yeah, pretty much already won. I got 1 or 2 revives as well as a backup plan. Then I could be like, yeah, I'm definitely taking Double Trouble. That's a free win right there, but it's not. There is no thing such as free wins when playing this build. You always gotta work hard for your money. Speaking of which, let's farm some here. I don't think the barrels can give you money. I'm pretty sure they can. At least they don't even occur often enough to know that. But I would assume they don't can, since they are a mandatory obstacle, usually, in the rooms they appear in, to be cleared, and therefore it wouldn't make much sense allowing them to generate money. Permafrost Bulwark. I absolutely love that. Absolutely taking that 100% of the time. Super useful to this build. Love how I just casually handled the thief there. Okay, we don't want the loan, do we? So we got... No, we are... I don't know, man. I really don't know. Loan means it's gonna block one of my item slots. So for that reason alone, I'm just gonna say no. I'm already at close to maximum, which is 12, I believe, right? So I'd be at 11. Let's see, 3, 6, yeah. What good is the loan for when you're already full on items and you can't discard it? Then you just keep buying items, but you can't actually equip them. I ask you, what is that good for? I do like playing things rather slowly here. Whoopsie daisy do. Well, I had almost finished them off, to be fair. My sprite probably would have just finished them off had I been in range there. Ignition Drive, that's a very fun Arcana to use. Now, beware also that our Permafrost Bulwark is unenhanced, so we could theoretically find an upgrade on the floor, and then also trade the unenhanced version for some health, and maybe a good item for more crit chance, for example. That would be optimal. I will not just trade it if I don't find the upgraded version though, as it is too valuable to trade away. Great case of how to use the expansion to pressure your enemies as much as possible. Great case of how to miss a pole. I did try to permafrost there, but I got cancelled by presumably an archer. They were just much faster than me there. I did also mean to throw the pole into the pit there, but I failed because I steered in the final second of the throw, changing the direction entirely. That's a good example of how not to use it. You have to be patient when using it. You have to invest time to cast the pole. Oh wow, I did not expect that. They can do that. They can throw their spear. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. I just didn't know they had the move. Never seen that before. I was expecting them to simply lance me, you know, like they usually would. Okay, I was waiting for the little ice traps there to vanish. Frost Dungeon can get you really fucked up. If you get hit once, you might just die. So, gotta be extra careful here. Oh, yikes. Haven't done this for a while. Used to just breeze through. Please don't be a mimic. Oh. But there's pretty much nothing inside. Love the instantaneous freeze there. Don't know where that came from. Oh, I see now. They were prepared for me, huh? Gotta be very careful around explosive barrels with tearing Whirlwind, as to not just reel them in and die. No good items here, I'd say. I don't really want tapping gloves. That's not gonna be too useful. Love that upgrade on the other hand, that is very useful. And then for our cursed vendor, what's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be, rather? If I had to take a guess... Oh, perfect. Actually, I would have guessed the collector, but this is much better, as we can now pull off the play that I mentioned earlier. Getting ourselves a catalytic tonic, which is okay. And then upgraded permafrost bulwark. Sweet. Always gotta get rid of the summoner there. Who is still alive? Not anymore though. Yeah, just die to the flame bomb. Love that. You absolute donkey. Still no item, only money. Cold hard cash and gems. Alright, let's do the presumably dead end down here as well. Just for slightly more money gain, as we need all the money we can get. Keep in mind, this is a thief. He will try to teleport behind us, so just keep our distance and clear all other enemies before we clear him. He's poisoned, so he can't teleport right now, but he can now. So we just want to slightly spam, just ever so slightly spam our basic to keep him at bay and just slowly whittle his health down. And then also keep at the back of our heads, or in the back of our mind, that once he teleports, we gotta immediately either dash or preferably permafrost bulwark to finish him off. That was what I was trying to do there. It's kind of hard to explain, I think, but to more experienced players that should come in quite handy and should be quite obvious, as you just at some point you grasp how those thieves work. It's always the same after all. A lot of money from those. Holy crap. Try to perfectly hit the pole into the pit there. I think we nailed that. Daring Whirlwind is certainly not the solution here. So I'm not going to cast the signature there. It would only leave us more vulnerable. Getting rid of the slimes. Giving us ample time to finish off the actual threat. Slimes are also dead. That's great. And that's only because of the Frost Stone. Otherwise they definitely would have survived. Now I do like the Volatile Gemstone. I'm not sure it's going to enhance our build too much here. It's almost like you actually have to commit to decisions playing this build. It's so unlike all other builds I've ever played. Bait out the attack and then dodge it last second. Same here. These are very risky plays. These are insanely fast, and you have to be very clever making those plays. Otherwise, they will stunlock you. That has happened to me so many times that I am capable of making these plays nowadays. Just staying close to the corner there as to just shove them off. Ooh, love the Bull Claimer. It's a little late, unfortunately, but better late than never, right? We might take it, potentially. This is the infamous room with the Golem and the Archer spawning. If you step forward too far, this could also contain a large chest mimic. So I don't want to risk it for the biscuit here. Just kill the Knights off first, and go for the Archers. And then go for the Golem. Wrap around. Has to not take any damage, and we're good to go. Have to dash that to escape, can't just turn around and cast something. Man, I have learned so much playing this build. Oh, hi. You're still alive. Thank you, Poison Sprite. You're actually helpful. Actually coming in handy at times. Sometime. Not every time, unfortunately. Bunch of crit chance and a revive. I see good stuff, I see bad stuff. It's just a matter of what do we do. I do like Assassin's Blade. I don't think it's gonna be super useful since we don't have a higher crit chance except on our basic. Curse Eaters, we have only one. Well, we have 2 cursed items currently. This could be okay. Increased damage and crit chance is pretty okay. I'd say, yeah, let's take that. Also makes us look funny, but gets rid of those shiny eyes, which I do like a lot. So a bit of a fuck you move there. Man, we deal a lot of damage. We are killing right now. We are absolutely killing it. Let's go into the portal room first so we can maneuver around a lot more easily and finish off the floor. Love the frost zone. It gives us an illusion of, yeah, we are dealing a shit lot of damage right now, but we are really not. It's the frost stone doing a lot. We're just grouping up the enemies, killing one, and the frost stone does all the rest for us. Tried hitting both there. I did fail doing that. Again, wrap around him here. Just block him off using the permafrost. Love permafrost with this build. It is really good. Now, I am also considering grabbing the Assassin's Blade just for damage purposes, or maybe the Scissors altogether, which does what again? Sacrifice all standard Arcana to revive from defeat. So that would mean pretty much only running a basic Arcana build. Bit of a tough choice here. I do have a lot of okay items. I do like even the Catalytic Tonic. Let's heal up first, I'd say, before we commit to that decision. We are on 3-2, so there's only Freya and then Sora following. Thanks for the critical heal there. Very helpful. So now we can get rid of the tonic. We only have 200 HP after all. And then get the scissors. I do like that idea. That mentality of having this backup plan. In case we die, we might at least get a second chance. If Sora lets us, he tends to just completely star-lock the player. Even if you revive. You revive and you immediately eat 2 attacks so that are undodgeable. Unless you have a jump or permafrost bulwark. Another reason that ability is so fucking good. Oh no. Okay, never mind, we're fine. I meant to permafrost there. Did fail doing that. Ultimate time. Kinda hate the Freya arena at times, because at times during the ultimate you will get stuck on these corners. I feel like the arena should have just been a massive square, not a circle. You do get stuck on those quite a lot, and when you do, you just die. I have only recently noticed that I keep making that mistake. Let me take a sip here before we take on this big boy. Okay. Let's get this. Again, wrong button. Tried to use permafrost there. I'm so used to having that on a different button. Now I mix them up again. Come on, at this point it's not even funny. Let's not pop that just yet. Okay, now we will definitely pop it. Don't want to risk anything here. That'd be quite unnecessary. I am considering just... yeah, just do this. One of them died to the sprite there. I was like, what the hell? He just passes out. Patience is key. Now I keep mixing up Glacial and Permafrost. This is a bit of a logistical nightmare right now. What do I do? Permafrost is usually on my Y slot, and then when I use it as a support, I usually always put it on the Y slot as well. I don't know, man. Oh, interesting. We can't afford any of this. But Kasim's would have been really good. That's just how it goes sometimes. Okay, let's do it, shall we? I'm keeping Glacial here because I'm more comfortable using that than a ranged ability right now. It would seem. I cancelled out of the permafrost there to not be hit by that drag. Okay, now what do we do? I'm very nervous here. I don't think I have great chances, I'm gonna be honest. I am playing pretty poorly here so far. Pretty lousy. But we got the Breezy Gray. It's definitely gonna come in handy. Just gonna use this here. Try and bait him into the firebomb. Boom! Nice! And we finish perfectly. Love it. The armor definitely came in quite handy. Unfortunately, we didn't find any extra HP, but the armor, specifically the bone mail, definitely very handy. Also, in the end, even though electrifying smog doesn't really do much, it did help out, gaining slightly more signature charge, allowing us to destroy more projectiles, move around a little faster, and getting slightly more damage from the merchant's card, which is neat. I think we had a bunch of neat little combos in here. Nothing wild, nothing huge. The Froststone, the Lotus Froststone is absolutely amazing with this build. It is super necessary to find one of these. It's either this one or... oh, sorry. Oh my god. I didn't even notice. It's just a Froststone. Oh my god. I am just now realizing. I thought this was the equivalent of the Whimsical Explodium. No. It wasn't. This is just a stone freezing enemies occasionally. Okay, holy shit. So I really just destroyed the run with my rather low damage build thanks to these two items. Oh my god. Holy shit. That's insane. I was in the belief that we had the equivalent of a Whimsical Explorer in the entirety of the run, but no, we did not. In fact, we did not. But, nonetheless... just in case you don't find these high damage items like Glass Cannon and the Saber, you should take into consideration always going for a Whimsical Explodium or its Frost equivalent, whatever that may be called, just because they clean up so much for you. And flaws are simply the most difficult challenge in the game when you run a Chaos Trial, and they get you killed super fast, especially the final iteration of flaws, right? Enemies are so quick, so fast to stunlock you into submission and just kill you straight up or shove you into pits repeatedly, deal 50 plus damage to you per hit. It is insane. You do want to freeze them, you do want to kill them as much as possible, so preferably, well, Froststone is good. It worked. But preferably a Whimsical Explodium, or, as I keep repeating myself here, its equivalent. That was a very fun run. Wow, this is very refreshing, honestly. I did not expect that at all. Let's drop the scissors, just for good measure. And then, yeah, I'm still very astonished here. That was a very fun run. I had a blast. I think from an educational perspective, that was a very good run. I could definitely get a lot of words and phrases and explanations, first and foremost, in there for the stuff that I've been doing, and yeah, that was definitely a successful run, in my opinion. Thank you very much for coming along this journey with me. Thank you very much for watching. And wherever you are, good morning, good day, good night, as per usual. And until next time, bye-bye.